Oh, that's fantastic. And if you allow me, you actually talking to an initiative also AKFI has, not specifically related to the travel industry. We're calling the sustainability transaction standard, and we trying to get associations. So this is a shameless plug, associations to join us to uh, help with setting a standard for, calling a supply chain standard, because you notice that language, as you said, the taxonomy is not common between suppliers. So the business case for this is when you are a manufacturer and you have 10 major customers, you have 10 major languages, all in English, but 10 major requests. And it's a little bit of Babel Tower, which costs actually millions of dollars, and complexity and errors in reporting. As you said, there is the reporting factor, there is the financial factor, which is much more real time. They don't want to read the last year report. They want to know what's happening this time, this month, this day with your sustainability. So I will pause here, but I'm launching an invitation for GBTA to join us together. We have a couple of other uh, large organizations. One of them is ISCA, the International Supply Chain Education uh, Association, that provides certification for supply chain. So you are a pioneer. I want to congratulate you, and of course turn it to Bev for more comments on the sustainability standards.
Yeah, I will take this just a little bit different angle in obviously we don't have any workforce standards that we work on specifically within our projects, but where what Kelsey has explained for sustainability and climate action is so much more mature, but the program that we're just kicking off and sort of maturing, I should say, better than just kicking off, is around our traveler accessibility, where there is an opportunity to have that standardization, harmonized language. But it is obviously a challenge. It's very broad. There are a lot of places along a business travel route or an event where we can be addressing accessibility. So finding, how can we focus that energy, put practices in place that help travel buyers build a program and support a program that effectively supports their travelers. And we find it is as fundamental as the challenge of what can they ask a traveler? What is appropriate? What is the etiquette? What can they maintain? What can they do to even start putting standards together that would then allow them to go talk to suppliers to build, requirements that are procurement oriented decisions. So again, we're just building and advancing that particular program. The intent is to put in place, as what Kelsey's done on sustainability, tools and resources and standard ways to talk about accessibility for travel buyers in that procurement decision.
Coming out of a convention, the recent convention, and having lunch served the whole convention, I think there is a space to do the same thing we do on airplanes. If you want a special lounge, pre-order your lunch, because it's so much food that I'm afraid it's wasted at the end unnecessarily. We have the tools. Every business travel has at least one smartphone. I've seen people with two or three. So, so it's a simple application that you can, get one of your your sponsors to develop and pre-order the food. So I'm not saying restricted, just say, here is the menu, pick up whatever you want. Give them a 24-hour notice so people consume what they want to consume. And it's not that food waste, which again connects to the sustainability. Food wasting, it's a major, because the production is a major carbon footprint impact. So just an idea from what you said, and thank you, Bev and Kelsey, for discussing the sustainability. And I think we can go a little bit deeper into metrics and ESG metrics for travel and tourism. If you have any input about that, and definitely after that we want to talk about the future.
Yeah, Bob, do you want to start or do you want me to take this
Yeah,
on?
please
I'll
go
let
ahead.
you, I'll let you
Oh,
go
please
ahead,
go ahead.
Kelsey. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so in terms of actual metrics and measuring our impact, I won't pretend it's easy. So even, if we talk about carbon footprint, there are myriad different methodologies, regulations in place guiding those methodologies that folks are using when they calculate their scope 3 emissions, which are their indirect emissions. And actually, business travel is scope 3.6, if you're familiar with that terminology. So there's a category within the carbon emissions framework that points
I
to
believe there
business
are
travel.
15 or there were 15 categories, so it's category
Right,
six, something for our audience to notice. Thank you.
category 6. Um, but when it comes to actual travel programs and implementing best practices, what we found was, it's not just about carbon footprint, and particularly because a lot of travel programs actually don't know their carbon footprint today. But how can we put something in place that allows travel programs to track their progress as they work towards measuring their carbon
Mhm.
footprint, purchasing sustainable aviation fuel, all of these other things? And so a few years ago, we launched what we call our Acceleration Challenge, our Sustainability Acceleration Challenge. And the idea here is that an organization, a travel program goes in and they take an assessment. And there's about 32 different questions in the assessment. And then together with our partner Accenture, we developed a methodology that actually can provide a score to that organization from 0 to 5. So the organization takes the assessment and they get a score from 0 to 5. That score is confidential and it's for them. But then we take the global average to say what is the um, how are we doing on a global scale in terms of sustainable
Very
business
interesting.
travel and integrating those levers of action. And they include tracking and reporting on your business travel emissions. What are you doing in regards to your travel policies for your business? Your decarbonization investments. So I said purchasing SAF is one of those. And then also, what are you doing in regards to your procurement? So I talked about our sustainable procurement standards before. And the first time that we did this initiative, we gathered the results. And from a 0 to a 5, the global average was a 1.3, which meant that most companies were between the sort of planning and starting phase of sustainable business travel. And we found that that number was really helpful in helping the industry to understand where we really stand. And we did find that there were companies that were closer to a 4 and a 5. And what we've been doing is highlighting those leaders and asking them about their best practices to help guide the rest of the industry. But what we're doing now as GBTA Foundation is we're running the Acceleration Challenge on an annual basis. We're guiding companies along that pathway to improve their score, but also improve their sustainability. And we're hoping to see the entire industry move that needle to the right.
Very interesting, a maturity curve of sustainability. Very, very interesting.
Exactly.
And revealing that how long ago was the first score collected or
We
computed?
ran the Acceleration Challenge for the first time in 2024. So the
Also,
first global average was a 1.3. And when we ran it again last year, the global average was a 1.4.
okay.
So our takeaway from that was it's actually great to see that companies are not dropping off to the left, which is, I think, with some of the recent political changes, there was discussion around are all companies dropping their sustainability targets? And we saw that that wasn't the case, but that growth was that thing that was a little bit harder um, to track. So we're seeing that companies are overall moving at a steady pace, but what we need to see is quicker growth and progress.
Before moving to the same question, and Bev, just wanted to make to notice sustainability has one new word, and it's a four-letter acronym. It's called risk. And which industries are looking at risk? Finance first. Insurance, finance are very much into risk. Every loan, every insurance. And we've seen industries, especially the insurance industry, uh, factoring risk, and suddenly, the needle moves up quite significantly. Sometimes uh, entire zones or even states become uninsurable because the insurance companies are saying we cannot measure sustainability risk, you're not producing results, we're not going to give you home insurance or a business insurance.
Yeah,
So I think you're
absolutely.
reaching a very important, and that's connected, of course, directly to GBTA because the people that can make those decisions are on your travel path.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in terms of risk, climate is having a direct impact on our ability to travel. So it's changing flight patterns, it's changing the predictability of flights, et cetera. And so for companies, there's actually a quantifiable impact of climate
Right.
on their business travel and their ability to meet their objectives and all of the money that they're spending on this. So you're absolutely right. There's a risk component here, and that's something we're increasingly looking at as well.
Well, if it's not already obvious, I'm strongly extrovert. So when I traveled last night, last afternoon, I was on American Airlines, and I traveled with I talked with the flight attendants, asking them, and I got exactly this feedback. They made a mess. The environment created a huge problem for American, up to the point that the flight attendants now in some states are on strike because the way the company responded. So direct impact on the bottom line of the company. And I don't want to put American on the spot, of course, but that's a recent last minute story.
Yeah, and it's something we're seeing across all industries, across all airlines, and working together to address this.
That's great. And by the way, by extension, all the supply chains is not only airlines. There are, when you talk about the shipping goods and so on, you have the uh, fleets of ships and transportation on the ground and so on. Bev, we're having a lot of fun with this. Please help us.
Well, I know, and I honestly I acknowledge that the standards and measures are much more well defined for sustainability. When you look at people, it's harder to measure, right? So when we look at within our own programs, we're measuring impact through the number of women who are touched, in leadership development and their representation at executive levels. And the work that we do is to elevate professionals and females and diverse workforce into roles that we hope will be ESG measures. I think we saw those reports before. I think fewer now that actually highlight their female representation, but that it hasn't gone away. And that's the work. Sometimes I feel like we are filling the gap. If companies have stepped back from ESG programs and have fewer leadership or mentorship programs, we have the opportunity to fill that gap and still elevate the people and the diverse workforce so that when we do continue to measure, we will have the workforce in place to do that. So it isn't quite as, like I said, as well defined, but I think the work that we do still continues to support the opportunity within business travel to elevate the ESG metrics in a way that companies want to show. They want to show female leadership. They want to show the director and above representation. So we will be working on our side to just expand expand that for organizations who have a gap right now.
Uh, so first thing, yes, thank you. And I think the companies that decide not to report on how they promote, especially the women workforce, should do it on their own peril. And I'll tell you why. Like GBTA, AKFI also relies heavily on internships. And through internships, I'm coming in contact with Gen Zer. Should I say
Mhm.
more? You want to hire a Gen Zer and you don't have something about how the company promotes ESG or promotes the S
Right,
part,
right,
then think twice because they
right.
may not accept your offer.
That's right. I think you're absolutely right. As Kelsey pointed out, the focus on sustainable and climate programs within an organization. The same is true with the development of the workforce and supporting women, supporting diversity, supporting, the people of color into the roles. I think it is really important. So I agree with you that that ESG report needs to continue and hopefully it will.
Absolutely. And when I'm talking about interns, I'm always amazed by the fact that we have a global, we are small, smaller than GBTA by far. We still have a global interns coming to us.
That's
We,
great.
we, we deal with all the time zones, all the
So
significant time
your
zones.
your story and your efforts are proving to be strong for interns, and that's great.
Yes, we rely and they are a great help to us. And they are the ones which are actually working with us on this sustainability transaction standard that I mentioned before between the supplier and we have to go back and align our use of terms because we call it supply chain, right?
Uh,
So, well, we have so much to cover, but I think in the interest of time, and I'll definitely like to have you back. Uh, what do you see in the future? We touch on many aspects on the trends. Who would like to start first on how
well,
the future will look?
maybe I'll to just kind of continue the conversation that we were on because I think this opportunity and advice for students and looking in the future, that's one place that we're really focused on. And first of all, is to attract new talent to the business travel industry. But we think it is a really great place to be because it is such an interesting, diverse, broad, and industry with amazing global impact. So for us, to be able to showcase all the opportunities, this is not a hospitality centric industry, but there's a place for data and analytics and climate action and sales and marketing and business development. So there's a lot of really great jobs within the industry. And so when we see this as a, opportunity for the future, this is a really great place where you can grow a career, a really broad, diverse career. So I'm looking at that as the future, as a place where we can, really enjoy new talent that is really excited. And we had a great, I think I could have told you about this. We had a great experiment last year with a university where we brought 10 students into our cohorts that have a season of innovation and collaboration. And they were from all disciplines. And we found the HR people, the data people, the marketing people, all found a place and found excitement within the industry. So I think the future for us is really exciting to kind of develop that next generation of workforce in within this industry that cares about the environment, cares about diversity, cares about the growth.
Elsie, how do you
Yeah.
see the future?
Yeah, when I think about the future of sustainable travel, and actually, I think about many years ago when we first launched the GBTA Foundation, we had a session where we all sat down together and we said, okay, what does the future of sustainable and resilient and positive travel look like? What does that look like to you if all of your dreams came true? And one of the things that we agreed on was sustainable travel would imply that we have the ability to actually, you know, see our relatives, meet with clients, operate with, different nonprofits and academics to do impactful research. Doctors have the ability to travel across borders to support other communities and do that all in a really sustainable way. Um, so the industry is innovating every day to be able to make that a reality. In the car rental space, we see electric vehicles and all of the technology there. For hotels, it's all about renewable energy. For airlines, it's about sustainable aviation fuel. And actually, we launched a new initiative last year called SAF Corporate Connect, so Sustainable Aviation Fuel Corporate Connect. And this is all about helping the business travel community understand, first of all, what is SAF? Why is it so important? And how can it help your travel program reach its emissions reduction goals? And we're seeing more and more. We actually just put out a report that came out yesterday. More and more travel programs purchasing SAF to abate their business travel emissions. So this is actually a fuel that is going into airplanes today. It's safe and it's reliable and it's a more sustainable way of flying. But we also see other innovations, electric aircraft, hybrid aircraft. So it's a really exciting space that's innovating every day, and it feels like it's moving faster and faster and faster with things like AI now available. And obviously, with AI, the conversation is around how to balance the environmental impacts of artificial intelligence with actual using AI for sustainability solutions. So there's kind of an interesting juxtaposition there. But it's exciting to be a part of, and we're excited to sort of provide that platform for dialogue and collaboration.
It was very interesting. And actually, as I mentioned, I came yesterday from a show called The Manifest, and it's about logistics. And I'm sure you know, but you share the airplanes with the logistic companies, right? And if nothing else, they are the same airplanes, modified for transporting goods. I was less impressed by the fact that there were few people talking about sustainability on the floor. I went to multiple booths. Some are very advanced, like DHL. They are moving to electric vehicle delivery. And again, I realize this is not about delivering people from A to B, hosting them in a hotel, is delivering goods and hosting them in a warehouse. But there is a parallel in definitely the infrastructure is the same airports, same airplanes, same transportation means. And as I said, you are much more ahead with GBTA in helping the travel industry, the executive, the business travel, as well as, of course, the uh, leisure travel, which is another part of this. But I can see them in my mind how they come together for a future of sustainability. And I also see that they are not even, right? I went to a hotels event, hotels conference, convention. They talked a lot about the sustainability. Then now they seem to be less focus on it because the regulations started to be a little bit more lax. I'm sure they'll come back when they come to insurance and finance, as we discussed before. But I see these segments of the industry is balancing, and I definitely want to see that you are at the forefront. You are the first company that talks about harmonizing the taxonomy, the language, the terms used across the industry. And I'm sure the same applies to logistics, applies to hotels, applies to all the building blocks. And I really see it as an important part of innovation. We talked also about there are, so let me try to unpack a little bit more. There is a technology aspect. from electrical vehicles to um, uh, ways to measure in real time carbon footprint, for instance. Measure, the whole IoT, Internet of Things industry. You see the telecom companies, the IT companies being involved, the AI companies being involved. So you have the technology arm, which I think moves at a fast pace, as we know. We have the people's component, which is much more complex. Usually, people are as a group are more difficult to move to new spaces of sustainability. And then we have the regulatory and the financial place, which are sort of pendulum from one to the other. So thank you. That's a very, very vivid picture in my mind of what GBTA is doing. But I would like to go back to uh, not only the element of collaboration and accountability that we discussed it, but more on the advice for students. And we have two categories. We have students that are graduating or are interested, even if they are not directly studying sustainability or ESG, to people changing the career in the midlife career changing. So if you have both of you have advice from your personal viewpoint and from GBTA viewpoint on how they can help with their careers, and we talked already about interns.
This is all you, so I'll let you
I
start.
know I'll go there first. And I do think, as I said before, I think knowing that the opportunities within business travel are so broad that don't be focused, don't be stuck on thinking this is a hospitality only type of industry. So when you really step back and say, what are those opportunities to come in? Again, whether you're a new graduate looking for a great opportunity to enter or a career changer, the transferable skills is really relevant. You can come into business travel, you can come into this industry as, a technology, development engineer, a data analyst, AI specialist. It's so broad. It is also about procurement fundamentals. And so if you wanted to enter in procurement, understanding supply chains, the supply chains that you get to have an opportunity to work with are amazing. Just think that you're buying from airlines and hotels and car rental companies and event spaces and as what Kelsey's doing, you're now looking at how to purchase sustainable aviation fuel. So a procurement and supply chain type of career is going to be amazing, but it is global in scope. It is impactful in the economy. So I think there is a huge opportunity for students to look at this industry and see how broad the opportunities are and what meaningful impact they could have by coming into it.
It's very interesting, and listening to you, I'll add one other word. Uh, do not be afraid of change, because exactly what you described, you'll be coming every day to your job and something new, something different, hopefully something exciting is coming up in the good way, exciting. It's coming up.
Right. Well, and as you pointed out earlier, risk as a component of, of supply chain, risk is a huge part of this whole industry too. So understanding all of that, how different, how impactful the work is, and managing risk and helping the the success of your organization is all kind of founded on getting out and building and developing relationships. And yeah, it's an important industry and a really interesting place for students, new grads, career changers, anyone.
Right. And we deal, at least at personal level, sort of people find me and ask for advice in the mid-career, midlife career change. So after 10, 20 years in one industry, they want to move to sustainability. And it's very interesting, because to me, the transition is coming from the heart, not from the job openings.
I think
So,
that's probably true. I think you're probably true. And I think Kelsey has a chance to be working with, these are people who have jobs in the industry and have found the passion and the heart to really focus their efforts around sustainability within the industry and for their organization. So yeah, when you can shift and put your passion and your mission, your personal mission together with your job, it's very compelling.
Yeah.
It's
And I would say,
is the energy pack of humans, right? This is how humans operate, right? If they have passion, things suddenly look feasible, doable, and they do it.
Right.
Sorry, sorry, Kelsey.
no, that's okay. I was just thinking about your question about people who are changing their careers. I think what's important to remember is that sustainability can be relevant to any role. And what I'm so inspired by is seeing many of our travel buyers, so our members who don't have a sustainability remit, saying, actually, I should have a sustainability remit. And they're doing their own capacity building, um, building up their skills to be able to be fluent in sustainability and actually take action in their programs. And so we're seeing people actually expanding the scope of their own job description by saying, this is important to me and
Excellent.
it should be important to your company. Um, so we're seeing a lot of that. And I would say for students who are new to the world, this world, and they're looking at jobs to, said the same way Bev said, but in a different way, um, don't put yourself in a sustainability box. There are so many roles available, sales, marketing, partnership development, things like that, that all touch upon sustainability in different ways. And they might not even have sustainability in their title. But if you're going to be operating in this world where sustainability is not its own separate department, but it's really integral to every piece of the business, you'll want to have fluency in those different types of jobs.
And absolutely, and really, I would like to add only a couple of more sectors of the other is finance. So as we mentioned, finance is becoming deeply involved in sustainability. There is an element of financial reporting, double materiality, which comes into the European standards and some standards globally. So don't just think, as you said, very well said, sustainability should be on your business card. It is there. Sustainable finance, sustainable reporting, compliance, of course, it's a big factor. And as you mentioned, compliance is not just compliance of the company, it's compliance of the supply chain, of the procurement chain, the way we described it today. So definitely don't think inside the box. Get out the way I said, when you travel, get out and see the environment around you. You'll discover things that you maybe overlook or surely overlook if you locked up in a hotel room or a hotel convention center. So any last word for today? And definitely I want to repeat my invitation and have you back.
Thank you so much. I will say my last word because I want to pitch, the industry. And I think we should all remember that business travel connects people. It powers economies, it shapes opportunity, and it's our job at the foundation to do it in a way that's inclusive and accessible and climate aligned. So for us, that is what we care about. That's the work that we do. And I think it's a really, a really compelling and exciting place to be. So thank you very much for
Thank you,
having us.
Bev. Thank you, Bev. And I would like to thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. For our audience, make sure to tune in every week for a new episode of AKF Actionable ESG Talk series. That's where you'll gain new perspectives on how to mitigate risks and create value by integrating ESG, AI, and digital transformation. And until the next week, goodbye from Manuel.